From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, February the 12th, 2024. We opened with some truly welcome news, and that is that 2 Israeli hostages were rescued late last night in an IDF mission in Gaza. 61-year-old Fernando Simon Marman and 70-year-old Luis Har were rescued in a complex joint operation, the IDF said, between the IDF, Israel Security Agency, and Israel Police. The Times of Israel reports that a Special Forces team made their way into a home in Rafah in southern Gaza, where the 2 men were being held at around 1 a.m. Israel time, killing 3 terrorists who were guarding the hostages, and extracted the 2 men under fire, but with the cover of the Israeli Air Force, taken in an armored vehicle to a military helicopter. The IDF sharing video from the ride to the helicopter, where a soldier is seen giving one of the released men who was barefoot his shoes, and the soldiers telling the rescued hostages how happy they were to have them safe. The 2 were flown to Sheba Medical Center in Ramat Gan, where they were said to be in good physical condition. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari spoke of the rescue mission.
1:49 a.m. Israeli commandos carried out a hostage rescue mission deep inside Rafah in Gaza. The 2 Israeli hostages that were kidnapped by Hamas on the massacre of October 7th are now home. The hostages, aged 60 and 70, were held captive in harsh conditions. They were intentionally held in the middle of a civilian neighborhood inside a civilian building to try and prevent us from rescuing them, but we did. Fernando Marman and Luis Har are now home in Israel.
Hagari added that this rescue mission underscores the importance of our ground operation in Gaza. We have a moral obligation to bring all our hostages home, an obligation that we will continue doing everything in our power to fulfill. Family members of the released hostages arrived at Sheba Medical Center for an emotional reunion with their loved ones. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed the 2 men home and said, "I salute our brave fighters for the daring action that led to their release. Only continued military pressure until total victory will bring about the release of all of our hostages." Netanyahu saying, "We will not miss any opportunity to bring them home." The Prime Minister met with members of the Special Forces who conducted the operation, where he also noted, sadly, the deaths yesterday of 2 IDF soldiers killed separately in battles in Gaza. They are 21-year-old Sergeant First Class in Reserve Alon Kleinman and 21-year-old Sergeant First Class Adi Eldor. The Prime Minister saying, "This is a day of joy mixed with sadness. Joy over the release of our hostages and sadness over our fallen soldiers." However, Netanyahu saying that the freeing of Luis and Fernando was one of the most successful rescue operations in the history of Israel. A terror tunnel was found by the IDF in Gaza this weekend, connecting underneath the headquarters of UNWRA, the UN Relief and Works Agency in Gaza, which has been under scrutiny of late over allegations that a number of its members took part in the October 7th massacre. The IDF said the forces discovered a tunnel shaft near an UNRWA school leading to an underground terrorist tunnel beneath UNRWA's main headquarters, saying electrical infrastructure inside the tunnel connected to UNRWA's main headquarters, suggesting it was supplying the tunnel with electricity generated by the fuel provided through humanitarian aid. Intelligence and documents found confirmed the office's use by Hamas terrorists, the IDF also noting large quantities of weapons found. There were 2 attempted stabbings yesterday, one near the West Bank village of Hussan, where a terrorist tried to stab an IDF soldier. He was shot and killed by Israeli troops. Israel police said a Palestinian terrorist approached a police inspection post in Jerusalem's Old City and tried to stab police officers who neutralized the terrorist. Rockets were reported fired from Gaza today at southern Israel and reported fired at northern Israel from Lebanon. No injuries were reported. Well, two powerful messages against anti-Semitism, which has spiked significantly since the October 7th massacre in Israel, were seen on television screens during the Superbowl last night, part of the Stand Up to Jewish Hate campaign from the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism and founder New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft. One ad ran in the pregame show showing a Jewish family targeted by hateful graffiti and the kindness of a neighbor in response. And the second ad, which ran during the game last night, featured Dr. Clarence Jones, former lawyer and advisor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who drafted King's famous I Have a Dream speech. Jones narrates the ad saying all hate thrives on one thing, silence. The people who will change the nation are those who speak out against injustice and refuse to be bystanders.
We stand up to all hate.
Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Monday, February the 12th at 7 o'clock, a conversation about the importance of folklore in both the Black and Jewish communities. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, Abigail Pogrebin is joined by Jewish leader and educator and the new CEO of JBS, Rabbi Justin Pines. At 9, Avi Weiss is on L'chaim. Then at 10:30, author Mark Gerson talks about his book, The Telling, how Judaism's essential book reveals the meaning of life. And coming up next, it's Good Week, Israel. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, February the 12th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.